Welcome back, YouTubers, to another British First Wednesday topical video with me, Mr. Parkin, back with my orange shirt, and this guy sitting next to me. He is bigger than Hulkamania. It's the one and only immortal NJ. What's up? Oh God, you're such a draw, NJ. You're bringing views into this video. But anyway, today. Oh yeah, by the way, subscribe up above if you want. Like this video if you would like to, and comment your views on this video down below if you want, of course.
And please contact us if you want to in the links in the description box below.
Remember, we're not forcing you to do anything. This is all your choice. You do
come on!
No, don't do it, NJ! It's not worth it! Right, today we're going to be talking about the third biggest company in the wrestling business today, ROH. We're going to be talking about their TV show, as they just had their first 4 tapings to their TV show and they've just finished this weekend. We're just going to be giving our overall thoughts on it and do we feel they've done what they set out to do and things like that. So we'll start off by asking, did they set out to do what they're supposed to do, and that is cater to new fans? Because that is essentially what this TV show was for, wasn't it, really?
True, and the things they put in these shows for new watchers to understand why they do stuff, who the wrestlers are, what they've done there. I think with that, the thing they've added into these shows have actually got people understanding the show better. So I think they've done a good job with that. Yeah,
the matches and the wrestling we can't complain about. I'm not going to complain about the wrestling because we know ROH does great wrestling. But the thing is, I feel they have done it to a certain extent. They've tried to introduce us to new characters. They've tried to introduce us to new storylines. But I don't think it's been great. It hasn't been like fantastic where I think new fans could really buy into the product straight away. I do think the lack of promotion to their latest pay-per-view or to their next pay-per-view is a bit of a miss. But I do feel they've laid down the basics as to what they wanted to do, and that is cater to new fans and try and get new fans into ROH. But it also kind of compromises the hardcore fan base. But that's something they needed to do because they need to move into new markets and they need to move into new demographics and fan bases.
That is very true because even the show put on good wrestling matches, they have to also concentrate on their future, and their future is their future TV shows and their pay-per-view. And I think with what I've seen so far, they've just not been built up to what happened to be a pay-per-view.
And it's also not just about wrestling, like you say. It's also about storylines that we can care about, characters that we can buy ourselves into, people that can draw us in. And ROH don't really have too much of that because just the way they do their business, I guess. And this is one of the things that's stopping them from really developing to a company that can really challenge TNA. They don't really have those. They don't really have those characters or anything that can really draw people in or can really draw major money. And this is where I think ROH needs to add to their roster. Maybe add some new talent. Maybe add some different talent that might not be over with the ROH crowd, like a Mike Bennett, but can offer something different that people elsewhere might want to see. It's all about contributing to the mass audience, not the small hardcore fan base.
But saying that, again, this their beginning of the TV show. Again, they could do many more things in the future to come.
Yeah, definitely. Do we feel that ROH have done their shows correctly in the way not just their production value, the way they've done their show, the way they've set their show up? Because we've seen that they've had a sort of an opening segment, video package, match, video package of some sort, and then a main event. How do you feel that ROH has set up their shows has really affected them?
Okay, they've had like different ways of opening. They've tried matches straight away. They've tried in-ring interviews and that. So they gave us a bit different. Again, they do put good wrestling matches on. They do get reasonably good length in some of the shows. The other thing I didn't like was the length of the video packages or the interview on their website. It's just too much.
I feel that when ROH are starting, and they do need to put a little bit of time. As much I don't like the length as much as you, but they do need to put a lot of time into trying to get their characters across to the TV audience. And having TV segments between each match and having an opening segment each time does help contribute more to your overall show. I feel ROH kind of does need to focus more on their core, which is wrestling, but also introduce these aspects a little bit more, such as the backstage interviews, the inside ROH, the storylines, inside feuds, and inside characters. So I'm glad that they're incorporating that. I really, on one aspect, I'm thinking they need to stick with their core, which is wrestling. But on other aspects, I think if they're going to expand, which they're going to have to, if they're going to, want more TV time, is they're really going to have to expand as an overall show rather than just a wrestling product like WWE and TNA kind of done with their sports entertainment aspects.
That's what I'm thinking too, because even though we watch this for wrestling, there is still more to the show than just wrestling. And I think again, that is something else, just like the last question, they need to work on in the few episodes to come.
Because we need to be able to care about it as much as... Because we like the wrestling, and we like tag team wrestling, and there are reasons why we watch ROH, such as the tag team wrestling and stuff like that. But we need a reason to care. People need a reason to say to themselves, right, I'm going to watch ROH this week. I'm going to watch it because of this, because of this. And I think ROH need to incorporate a little bit more of that into their product. Maybe it will happen with time, but I just feel simple things like having their world champion not in an opening segment, things like that, have really, really kind of hurt the show in my opinion. Even though I feel the show's have been a good start to the ROH product in, going out there to a mass audience.
I think they need to start prioritising what they need to start doing in their shows. Because yes, they've done a practice on these last few shows, but now they know what they're doing. They need to start working on what's important in ROH.
Yeah, and I do feel, and this is a feeling I've had for a long time now, that doing their TV tapings 6 weeks before their last iPay-per-view was a real downer for me, as it really affected the continuity, especially if you're a hardcore fan wanting to watch the TV tapings. But that is another story for another day. What so far have we liked about the TV shows?
The thing I've liked about there's two major things. Number one, the wrestling is a lot more move-wise, more good spots.
Yeah.
And the other thing I liked was the introduction of the wrestlers that were going to go into a match.
Yeah.
Like they had the World's Greatest Tag Team talking, they had the other main eventers talking, so it got us to know their biography and that. So I think they're two of my main things I liked.
Yeah, the wrestling I like. I'm not sure. The video packages have been fairly good. It's just that sometimes they just don't flow on. But the wrestling I can have no problems about. This is why I watch ROH. This is why I want to watch their TV show. This is why I want to buy into their product, because essentially that is why we started watching the product, because they're very wrestling based. We enjoy their tag team wrestling and enjoy the way they do the wrestling, because they are a pure wrestling company. Was there any other things about the show which you thought stood out for you?
Stood out? Well, for a first TV show, I think they did a good job at trying to do their best. Like they had the
tag teams, didn't they?
The tag teams, the introduction to matches. So I think they've done a good job at the start, but I just want more improvements now.
Yeah, I think improvements are necessary, and we will touch on these in a minute. What things have we disliked about the show? I know you had a bit of a problem with the constant advertising of the website.
That's my main thing, because the amount of times they had to do that to try and fill up time just got a bit out of hand, in my opinion. And the other thing is, again, as much as we like the rest of the matches, some of them were not as long as they should have been or could have been. And I think they could do with a third match in the TV show. I
feel that too. Even though they have an hour, a third match would be beneficial to them, in my opinion. I can see what you mean about the advertising of the ROH, but I think one thing I will remember is that is their main core in terms of how fans would get to them. So they're always going to be trying to advertise that. They do advertise it a bit more than they really should do. My main problem with these TV shows is that they don't fulfill what, in my opinion, TV shows should do in the wrestling business, and that is build to your big iPay-per-view event. Surely, if you want new fans to invest in your product, you don't just want them watching the TV show, you want them buying them your next iPay-per-view, which is like, what, $15 on the internet? And that is the whole point of these TV shows. And to me, it hasn't really fulfilled that. And I hope that in the next 4, even though I don't have much hope about that, I hope in the next 4 TV shows they do actually try and do that, even though I don't feel they will, because I've kind of seen spoilers.
Yeah, it's another big problem. Like, again, they're just like WWE SmackDown. The spoilers come out on the internet for weeks, not just 1 week, continuous weeks, and you just... Again, it really takes away. The fans may not need to watch their show because of spoilers. It's
kind of expected, though, with a company such as ROH being as small as they are. At least they get this is the thing. At least they're getting a TV thing out there. But I do understand where you're coming from. What about production-wise? How have you felt about the show production-wise?
Again, they're on limited money, but I just think there's got place for improvement there. Because again, they've tried in that. Like they've given us these video packages for certain stuff, past video packages, stuff like that. But I'm just thinking it's not enough.
No, I feel the arena needs to be kitted out a little bit better, in my opinion. Hopefully the next 4 TV tapings are in a more TV environment arena, so they should turn out a bit better. But some of the shots were a bit dark. I was generally quite impressed with the production, but there were parts of it which I really think could improve. And it's all about giving a consistent feel of good production, not just in bit parts.
And one of the main things that shows that it's not the greatest production is stupid streamers. How is that making you feel wrestling? It makes you feel like it's all kiddie and playful and that. Yeah, that's one thing. Yeah.
One thing we do need to touch on this is storyline development. Do we feel that these TV shows have done a good job of developing storylines?
Well, I'm going to say sliding towards no, because basically they have this pay-per-view, and when you start to think it's building up to it, it turns out not to be because they've done certain matches in the wrong place.
Yeah. I feel these four were kind of a starter, but we did see the culmination of one storyline, and that is the whole Briscoes versus All Night Express thing, and we also saw that how that ended with no actual number one contender. So for me, the storyline development has only just started. We haven't seen too much of it yet, but hopefully we'll see more of it in the next 4 TV shows, which is kind of needed, really, because that is what ROH really needs to work on, their storyline development. It hasn't been there for me consistently, but I'm hoping that now they've laid the groundwork, we can see the framework really starting to really build itself in the next couple of TV shows. Who knows?
Well, it is needed because if they've got iPay-views coming up, they've got storylines that you need to get people interested in, they've got to start doing it. So.
Definitely. And I think one big storyline which ROH really need to capitalise on is Kevin Steen. Him being out of the company and everything. I think that's one storyline they really need to capture, and I think they will be doing that in one of the next episodes. But that's one thing they really do need to capture. And spotlighting your world champion a lot more, in my opinion.
That's true, because obviously he's the one that is, in a way, the head of TN.
Like Cena is to WWE. Exactly. Any more thoughts on storyline development?
No, I just look forward to seeing, now they've done their first opening shows, them to improve it.
I do feel, on an iPay-per-view standpoint, simple things like developing feuds going into the iPay-per-view is lacked so far. We haven't seen any interaction between All Night Express and World's Greatest Tag Team. El Generico is facing Davey Richards for the world title, which is a bit strange for me. But you know, I hope they can improve on that term. What about character enhancement? We've seen a lot of video packages. Do you really feel that these video packages have been good for buying into certain characters?
Not all of them. I'm going to give them that. Some of them either were not detailed in the way that you want to know about them. Some of them were too long, so you get the first bit, you enjoy the first bit, but the next bit no. I think they've really concentrated on making the tag teams stand out. So they've done a good job and a bad job. They've
definitely spotlighted the tag teams, which on one hand is a good thing because tag team is probably the best wrestling they have. And also, Charlie Hazel and Shelton Benjamin are probably the two of the most famous names they have. But on the other hand, you want to be spotlighting your main event. And at the moment, we see ROH don't have too many main eventers, which is probably why they're trying to stay away from it. In terms of character enhancement, I feel the video packages have done a decent job. Some of them, like you said, weren't exactly great, but some of the video packages did a good job hyping up the match. We saw some good interviews with some people. We've seen some good focus segments on the characters, even if they did last a little bit longer than we would like. So some of them have been pretty good, some of them have been a little bit disappointing. But overall, I'd say okay, not been bad at all.
Again, I've said this many times in this. Now they've done their opening shows, they just need to hear what people are saying, see what improvements are needed, and start working on them. So hopefully the characters in Cheltenham will build up from the tag teams also to the other wrestlers.
Yeah, and I do feel they need to make some of these characters stand out. Not just giving them a nickname, but really, really making this guy stand out from this guy, rather than being the same old, 5'10", 200-pound spot monkey type guy. They really need to make guys stand out if they're really going to make some of these guys appeal to guys. Because we're not going to appeal. If there's 3 guys who are the same there, it's not going to appeal to us because they're just not unique. And that is one of the things that made the wrestling business in the 90s so good, in my opinion, because so many people were so unique in the terms like Mr. Perfect, Owen Hart. So many guys were just unique.
That's very true. I'm thinking now, if ROH want to get themselves out there, they have to start doing these improvements like we've been saying and give their main eventers as well as their tag teams this video package is a big push.
And what we need to essentially remember is the wrestling business is founded on drawing money. And that is why WWE are where they are today. And that is why ROH are at where they are today, because they can't draw money. And that's one thing they really do need to work on. How they'll go about it, well, maybe trying to introduce some new guys into the main event and build them up. I don't know. But we'll see how that pans out. Later on, the next thing, we've talked about this a little bit. We'll talk about it a bit more, though. What has this done for the next pay-per-view build? Not much.
It started to look like they're doing something, then the next week after, they just totally spoil it by having a match that drags away the whole build.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same way. I think we touched on it a lot during this. So we'll go on to the final thoughts section. Now, one thing, what do we expect and hope for from the TV shows now in the next 4 tapings, apart from hyping up for their iPay-per-view, which is a rather obvious thing which really needs to be done?
Well, the way I see it, after they've done the opening shows now, I bet they should be concentrating on what people say about their show. You say what they disagree with, what they like, and then the next weeks to come, they start putting things to a way that will make everyone happy.
Hopefully they will take into account what people, not just like us, but general Ring of Honor fans do say, because that is essentially who they're catering for, but they also need to cater for people, for a mass audience. But I do expect the TV shows to carry on being good wrestling-wise, and I do hope that they improve on their pay-per-view build, which really needs to be done. And I do hope they improve on their storyline development, which really does need to be improved. Even though it's a start, it still does need to be improved in order for me to care about it much more than I actually do right now. Because they're not going to be able to rely on my hardcore fandom for that long, are they?
No, and the thing I'm looking at now is they've done an okay start. I'm going to give them that. They've done their best at trying to get us into it. But now, as it came to the end of the first 4, they need to think of, right, we've done that, how are we going to improve? That's what made me think. I've said this many times, it's all about improvements now. And
it starts off with the production, and then it really goes into your storyline development and how you're going to be planning your next couple of months for your product when you're recording these things. Is that pretty much it? Any more additional thoughts you want to add before we leave this video?
Well, the only thing I would say now is ROH, 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 ROH.
Make sure you guys get your comments down below, or even suggest improvements to us as to how you feel the show can improve. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Keep commenting down below, keep subscribing up above, and goodbye.